Howdy, Fallout here, and because all of you ponied up well over 6,000 likes on the top 10 best weapons in D2 video, I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Today we're going to be going over what I think are some of the best off-meta weapon picks in D2 right now. A lot of these are going to sound fairly odd. After all, Ace of Spades and Palindrome are kind of tag teaming every PvP mode from here to your mama's house and back. But just because a weapon ain't in the top 10 of most used weapons overall, doesn't mean that it can't kick ass when used the right way. While everybody's definition of off-meta might be a little bit different from one another, here's what we're going with today. I went over to destinytracker.com and looked at what the top 100 most popular weapons were in trials across every platform. The goal was to make sure that none of my weapon picks were even in the top 20. Thankfully, most of them were ranked in the 40s and beyond, with 3 weapons not even making the top 100, which I feel is criminal, but more on that later. Real quick though, before we talk about weapon options that are often ignored, let's talk about something you should never ignore: your Today's video is sponsored by Manscaped, and fellas, don't ignore taking care of your downstairs barrel. Not keeping a clean shot below the belt is gross, and Manscaped has their perfect package 4.0 kit filled with a bunch of great stuff to keep you fresh, including top-notch body wash and even ball deodorant. Funny? Yeah, but don't pretend that we all don't sweat. The real creme de la creme, though, of the Manscaped package is their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. Crafted with skin-safe technology so you can feel confident when trimming up, down, and all around. Did I mention that the Mower 4.0 also has a wireless charging system and is waterproof? That's right, boys. Easy to charge, and you can even take it into the shower. We all gotta clean up shop eventually. Might as well do it right. Click the link down low in the video description to get taken to manscaped.com and use my unique code PLAYS20 to get 20% off your entire order and get free shipping. Again, code PLAYS20 for 20% off your order and free shipping to boot. Thank you, Manscaped. Alright, back to the content and on to the weapon picks. Starting with Cold Denial and Stars in Shadow. I'm combining both of these guns into one slot because they're very similar and members of the same weapon family. Both the Denial and the Shadow are members of the high impact frame pulse rifle family, and neither of them are anywhere on the list of the top 100 most used weapons. I happen to think that is up because both are very, very good. It's likely that anyone wanting to rock a high impact frame pulse rifle will just put on the Messenger, and yeah, I don't blame them. Messenger is the only non-sunset gun in the game right now able to roll with Desperado, a top tier perk for sure. But the Cold Denial and the Shadow both have a lot of great perk options that the Messenger can't have. Quick Draw, Multi-Kill Clip, Firmly Planted, Thresh, Surplus, Elemental Capacitor, and Vorpal Weapon are all perks available on either the Denial or the Shadow that cannot drop at all on Messenger. And again, I know it's hard to compete with Desperado, but all the perks I just mentioned bring something good to the table in their own way. And now that 120 RPM hand cannons are becoming less and less popular, long-range rifles like Shadow and Denial are doing great. If you're tired of going into trials to try and get a viable pulse rifle, don't worry about it so much. In the hands of a good player, I promise you the Denial or the Shadow can punk people hard. Next up, and I want to get this one out of the way because out of every weapon we're going over today, this is probably closest to, quote, the meta. If the D2 PvP weapon meta was a group of kids picking teams for kickball, this weapon wouldn't get picked right away, but then again, it also wouldn't be out eating dirt under the bleachers. I don't know what I'm saying, but the weapon is Duality, the exotic energy shotgun. It's currently number 24 on the list of weapons I pulled, and I know I can already hear the angry typing of people thinking that's too close to the top, bro. But the reality is I'm including it here because in the hands of a good player, Duality could easily be a top 5 weapon. If you don't know, Duality is a hybrid shotgun. Hip fire will fire out buckshot in a spread pattern, but ADSing the gun will fire out one big slug. While that can be confusing to people unfamiliar with the gun, real ones know. Duality has the best of both worlds. It can't kill as deep as Roadborne Chaperone, but again, Duality's benefit is that it can fit either role, deep one-tapper or up-close easy finisher via lazy hipfire. On top of that, Duality is an energy weapon, meaning if there's a kinetic primary you really enjoy using that you always wished you could pair together with the Chaperone but can't, cough cough, Duality will gladly grant your wish. It definitely will take you a little bit of practice to get used to, especially if you're used to using the Chaperone, but Duality in the hands of a smart player is frighteningly good. Let's keep heading down the popularity chart. The next weapon drops all the way to the mid-30s, which again, total crime, the Multimach CCX SMG. Unlike a lot of people, I actually don't mind grinding out Iron Banner. I find it way less frustrating than Trials because you have plenty of targets to shoot and Control doesn't promote camping and milking the clock. With any luck, you'll eventually wind up with a halfway decent roll on the Iron Banner SMG, which, looking at its available perk pool, ain't that hard to do. Killing Wind, Threat Detector, Quick Draw, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Kill Clip, Iron Reach, and Iron Grip. With the right combination of stats, you can easily get laughably high range on the Multimach, and while your stability might be bottomed out, I found that even while playing with controller, a Multimach with painfully low stability was very easy to control. Even if you want to raise your stability up to find your own sweet spot, the fact that Multimach can get so much range to begin with makes it a monster at mid-range combat. Remember, 140 RPM hand cannons are the current top dog in PvP, and both Palindrome and Ace have an optimal time to kill of 0.87 seconds, whereas Multimach's optimal time to kill is 0.67 seconds. That's without kill clip activated, by the way. Go get a good Multimach and give it a whirl. There aren't as many 120 RPM hand cannons running around out there in PvP right now, meaning you can get close with an SMG and do good things. Now we're dropping into the mid-40s, and I think it's time to talk about Witherhoard. I really can't tell you how much I love using Witherhoard in PvP. People are so used to fighting traditional grenade launchers like the Truth Teller, the Salvo. When you whip out something that works totally differently, they almost have to readjust their playstyle. It's like watching a Fox main in Smash Bros. Melee get completely knocked on their ass when going up against Amza because they have no idea who or what is a Yoshi. TLDR, Witherhoard is Yoshi. Because Witherhoard is a zoning tool, people often think you can only use it defensively, which granted, it does play D very well. But Witherhoard is awesome on offense, and I'll very often lead an attack by firing a preemptive offensive Witherhoard, then swapping to an energy primary to finish the job. The diameter of Witherhoard is wide AF, and even if you only manage to do a few ticks of damage on the guy you're fighting, that can literally make the difference between you winning and losing a gunfight against multiple people. Veteran PvP players who now know every D2 map like the back of their hand can easily identify choke points or tight hallways, and then they can take Witherhoard from effective to flat out brutal. This weapon will definitely take a fair amount of practice time if you're either new or unfamiliar with the weapon outside of PvE. Remember that unlocking the catalyst is mandatory for PvP abuse because it adds auto-loading into the gun naturally, meaning you don't have to waste time manually reloading the Witherhoard. We haven't left the mid-40s yet, and next up is Le Monarque, aka Thorn but in bow form. Monarque is notorious for making people want to pull their hair out if they're fighting a player who really knows how to use it well. I think that if you were to rank every weapon in D2 on how good they are at team shotting, Monarque would easily be in the top 5. With one arrow, you put an enemy out of the fight for a handful of seconds. They could try to re-peek, but between the big impact damage and the repeated damage over time, if they did try to re-peek into the engagement, odds are high they would get picked off by anyone on your team with a primary shot. You gotta be careful about getting shotgun rushed if you're gonna go with the Monarque, but Destiny is an ability-friendly game, and if you have the right build, you can clown a lot of people trying to get up in your face. You can pair Monarque together with a shotgun or a fusion rifle or a grenade launcher or any other special weapon. You can also be very ballsy and run double primary, pairing it together with your favorite kinetic hand cannon. Tagging an enemy with Monarque and then swapping to a kinetic weapon to finish is one of the fastest time to kills you can get without the use of a special weapon. Final thing about the Monarque I gotta mention. I'm still shocked that many people don't know this, but if you have a charged with light build, yeah, they work in PvP, and you have the high energy fire armor mod on, you can literally one-tap people with Monarque. Yeah, one arrow in the head, dead Guardian. Food for thought. Last weapon we're going to talk about in the high 40s ranked range, and that is Vig Wing. Remember, every time a very popular weapon archetype gets a nerf, there's immediately a power vacuum in PvP. Only a select few people I've seen in PvP have figured out that in the absence of 120 RPM hand cannons, Vig Wing is a powerhouse at mid to long range. It can fire 5 bullets per burst, and being able to shoot it full auto means you can very easily focus on your strafe game rather than your pull the trigger game. The Vig's optimal time to kill is 0.7 seconds. You're probably not going to hit that with each engagement you enter because you got to be 100% perfectly accurate. But even if you aren't perfectly accurate, the weapon is so damn forgiving that even if you're not a tremendously good shot, you can still win a ton of 1v1s. If you're looking for something easy to use at mid to long range, give Vig Wing a whirl if you haven't rolled with it in a while. Moving into the bottom half of the top 100, we come to the Chroma Rush. You know it's gotta be a good weapon to include on the list if it's an auto rifle, as I am a well-known auto rifle hater. Yeah, I've used them in the past when the meta called for it, but I was never happy about it. Begrudgingly, I gotta give the Chroma credit where credit is due. It has good base stats and phenomenal perk options, including Heating Up, Moving Target, Tunnel Vision, Dynamic Sway, Adrenaline Junkie, Tap the Trigger, Kill Clip, Rampage, Thresh, and Wellspring. It's actually hard to get a Chroma Rush that isn't rolled well, TBH. Chroma's optimal time to kill is 0.77 seconds, which again clocks in under optimal time to kill on both Ace and Palindrome. Yeah, you have to be pretty accurate to pull it off, but it's very doable. And not to mention that again, there are so many extra damage dealing perks you can get on the Chroma. Adrenaline Junkie might be rare to trigger, but a 10-second damage buff timer is kind of wild. And if you want something more traditional, Rampage and Kill Clip are right there. Final thing to mention on Chroma Rush, fairly easy to farm for via the helm, so go grab one right now if you want to try to embarrass a hand cannon user. Next up, the Plug 1 Fusion Rifle. In the top 10 weapon video, I mentioned Bastion, the only fusion rifle on the list, which made it there due to the fact that it's good on console and very consistent. Plug 1 follows the same suit, but whereas Bastion is consistent, Plug 1 can range from bad to damn good depending on the strength of your roll. The bad news is that Plug 1 can roll with some perks that I either don't care about or don't want. The good perks though, mainly under pressure and anything that gives you a load of stability, you're in the clear. Cornered can help out too, but if you watched my God Roll video on the Plug 1, you know that after looking into how Cornered works and how much it really does benefit you, it's not helping you out as much as a lot of people think. Really, TBH, you just need stability and under pressure, and you'll be shocked at how much deeper you can one-shot people with the Plug as opposed to with the Bastion. Icing on the cake, Plug 1 has a shorter charge time overall than Bastion, so if you're already a fan of Bastion in PvP, odds are good you're gonna like the Plug 1 a lot. 2 weapons left, and the next weapon is all the way down at slot number 82, the Fighting Lion. This one might be a hard sell, but the upsides are as clear as day. Fighting Lion ain't as immediately destructive as a lot of other grenade launchers, but it is a specialist. Every time you play a team in Trials that might be 3-peeking, slow playing, running out of Geomag Chaos Reach, reviving behind a Titan barricade, those are the exact moments where the Lion thrives. It's designed to reach players who are trying to remove themselves from the fight. It's a pipe cleaner. Not only can it bank around corners and help you pick off jabronis trying to not engage with you, Fighting Lion takes primary ammo, which is its greatest strength IMO. With the Witherhoard, the Truth Teller, Salvo, or any other green ammo launcher, you gotta think every time before pulling the trigger, is the juice gonna be worth the squeeze? You do not need to think at all with the Fighting Lion. You got ammo to spare, dude. Roll the dice, take the shot. Didn't get it? No problem. You got plenty more ammo. As long as Trials encourages passive, hidey gameplay, the Lion will always be a viable weapon option. Okay, 1 weapon left, and I was beyond shocked to learn that this gun wasn't even in the top 100, and that weapon is Devil's Ruin. I am amazed at how slept on this weapon is in PvP right now. I routinely surprise people who think they have a free shotgun ape opportunity because I'm only rocking a sidearm, only for them to get liquefied mid-charge. If you're unfamiliar, the Ruin is an exotic sidearm with 2 firing modes, regular pew-pew mode and hold down the trigger for hardcore laser beam mode. The 2 great things about the Ruin are, 1, no matter how little ammo you have left in the mag, holding the trigger down will always give you a full power laser, meaning even if you have 1 shot left in the mag, hold that trigger down and the mag autofills for laser time. If you're being rushed by multiple people, you can safely pew-pew 1 or 2, then burn down the 3rd, all in the same mag with no reloading. The second great thing is that, like Fighting Lion, Devil's Ruin runs on primary ammo, which is insane to me. The laser kills so quickly and so easily that it feels like it really should be running on special ammo, and yet it doesn't. And because it doesn't, you have a really wide range of what you can pair it with. Sniper rifle, grenade launcher, hand cannon, pulse rifle, bow, whatever you want, go wild. It's gonna feel weird at first if you aren't used to it. Unlike other sidearms, the Devil fires every shot in pew-pew mode when you release the trigger rather than when you pull it. If you've been using the Devil and you can't figure out why it feels different, that is why it feels different. Once you do get a feel for it though, and you're charging lasers around corners and in the air, it's gonna be great. It's really devastating at close to mid-close range, and even though there are a buttload of shotgunners still running around, I'm confident hopping into PvP with my Ruin. It should be well within the top 100 IMO. I want to hear from you though. Let me know down in the comment section right now what your favorite weapons are that aren't in the top 20 most used and why. Hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video, and of course a big shout out to my patrons. Y'all know who you are. I appreciate you for supporting my content. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.